the one who takes you there. Hey, I'm your life. I'm the one who cares. They betray. I'm your only true friend now. They'll betray. I'm forever there. I'm your dream, make you real. I'm your eyes when you must steal. I'm your pain when you can't feel. Sad but true. I'm your dream, mind astray. I'm your eyes while you're away. I'm your pain while you repay. You know it's sad but true. Sad but true. You're my cover, my shelter. You're my mask. You're the one who's blamed. Do my work. Do my dirty work, scapegoat. Do my deeds, but you're the one who's shamed. I'm your dream, make you real. I'm your eyes when you must steal. I'm your pain when you can't feel. Sad but true. I'm your dream, mind astray. I'm your eyes while you're away. I'm your pain while you repay. You know it's sad but true. Sad but true. I'm your dream, I'm your eyes, I'm your pain. I'm your dream, I'm your eyes, I'm your pain, I'm your pain. You know it's sad but true.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 7 p.m. GMT, and I came on early because I wanted to make sure I had stuff sorted early. Thought I'd treat you to a bit of Metallica, old school Metallica, of course, from the Metallica Black Album. Arguably the best album they ever did. The last great album they ever did, in my opinion. Because I think Load and Reload they went in a different direction, didn't they? They weren't the old Metallica that we know. And Justice for All, another great album. Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, brilliant albums. But Metallica Black, most Metallica fans will tell you, last great album they ever did. Load, Reload, all the others, just their music changed and you could hear it. It was very, very different. But anyway, I still love Metallica. Huge fan. Big fan of Joe Bonamassa as well, by the way. Just very proud to say I went to see him in April in Brighton. Great night with a friend of mine. We had a good time. A good laugh. So, what we're going to do is I've decided to concentrate mainly on the statement analysis. And I'm going to use the interviews of Maleyha Brooks-Murray and Daniel Martell, mother and stepfather of Jack and Lily Sullivan, who have been missing since they were reported missing on May the 2nd of this year in Pictou County, Nova Scotia, Lansdowne Station, I believe. rural area. For those of you that have been following the case, I think it's fair to say that we're all of the opinion, and we all realise that they've been very, very deceptive. Daniel, in particular. I actually think he's sleeping with his cousin. I'm going to say it. I don't care. Whatever. That's what I believe. Those two are closer than what they're letting on, and I'm convinced of it. But anyway, that's just me. I don't care what they do. I just want him locked up. And same with the mother, because that's where they should be, in my opinion. But before we go on to that, I want to show you a quick short from Justin at Clutch and Pearls. Big shout out to Justin. He's brilliant. I so love Justin. He's so good at what he does. I've got enormous respect for him. He does an awful lot of work with these sort of cases to bring it to our attention. And he's also working on a qualification statement analysis himself. So be interesting to see who gets qualified first and who goes further, because I want the advanced. I want to teach. Hence why I've decided to try and share what I already know and what I've already learned. And we're going to learn some very easy ways to detect deception in people's language. We're going to touch a little bit on the behavior, but I'm going to concentrate mostly on the statement analysis, because that's what I'm concentrating on at the minute. I'm concentrating 90% of my efforts on learning statement analysis, interview techniques, elicitation, linguistics. The body language stuff I've done for years, and it keeps changing. Anybody that follows Deception Detective, who's also fantastic, absolutely brilliant statement analyst, brilliant. He does it all on the fly, and he's extremely good at it. I only hope to be as good as he is. But he made me fall in love with statement analysis. Like I say, I got into it about 8 years ago on the Madeleine McCann case, when Peter Hyatt covered it. Richard D. Hall went to see him and had an interview. And Richard D. Hall actually was the guy that brought everything to my attention, that because I knew something was not right with the McCann's story and behavior, but I wasn't as good as I am now. So I couldn't quite put my finger on what was going on. But then we had the behavior panel who thought they were innocent. For some reason, they were the only people who thought, no, there's nothing wrong here. Turns out there's very much wrong. But I'm gonna share this just quickly, just to give you an idea of what Justin's like and how good he is. And I know I don't need to say, oh, this is fair use. For I have permission from Justin to use his content for these purposes. I have a good relationship with him. He's a great guy, really is a great guy. Camp as they come, but it's just funny. I just think it's hilarious. He's great, big heart, lovely guy, and does an awful lot of work. So please go and check him out. Please go and check out Deception Detective. And if you're into the true crime stuff, go and see Jay Scott at Guilty of Crime. She's brilliant. And you can have a good laugh with Jay Scott as well. She doesn't take it quite as seriously as most of the others. Gisela Kay at Grizzly True Crime. She does a great job. And you've got Mike DeMann, another statement analyst who goes into very much detail. Practical Linguistics, Never a Truer Word. There are lots of statement analysis channels out now because people are getting into it. People are getting sick of being lied to by, I think, the powers that be and you know, the news and the BBC, because we all know what's been going on there now, don't we? But anyway, let's just have a quick listen to this. Listen to this. Right. We call that subtle victim blaming. Yeah, if they've had decent parenting, of course. Yeah. Mhm. Anyway, I had he's brilliant. He's a sarcastic sod when he wants to be. But anyway, we're going to look at um, we're going to have a look at the first interview um, of Maleyha Brooks Murray and Daniel Martell. Now, the reason that I've decided to focus on this case in particular, or the reasons, are simple. It was the first active missing child case that I got involved with and helped out with. I've gone on to do what I can on more since, but this was the first one. And thank you to a certain member of a community from Canada helped me get in touch with RCMP and gave me the confidence to do an analysis because I wasn't confident enough. I said, I'm not qualified. I don't. She said, you're good enough to do it. Do what you can. Just give them what you can. And like I said before, I've had extensive conversations with investigators with RCMP. They were impressed, considering I'm only an amateur. I've got no qualifications in behaviour analysis. They were very impressed with my analysis. And I'll tell you now, the person I spoke to agreed with me. He said he was getting exactly the same feeling. But what that did point out to me was everybody I spoke to at RCMP, when I first spoke to normal RCMP, not the investigators on this case, but when you first get through to them on the phone, I was explaining the statement analysis and the behaviour, and they did not have a clue what I was going on about. So they were like, "Oh, we'll put you on hold. We'll pass you through." So I had to leave messages, and then finally, one of the investigators got back to me, and we had a really good conversation. And he gave me a lot of confidence. I'm very grateful for my original analysis, and they were very grateful for my further analysis. So this, and the other reason why I want to concentrate on this one is because it's so easy. There are so many indicators of deception here in both language and behavior that it was glaringly, blatantly, and painfully obvious that she was lying. And then I saw Daniel's interview, and I was exactly the same. I was literally about 17 seconds into her interview. I was already on the computer and telling people, get hold of RCMP for me. There's stuff they need to know, even before her interview is finished. And I'm going to teach you how to spot the deception. And once you've learnt this, you will have a much better chance of spotting lies and deception and manipulation when it comes your way. Especially if you have kids, you know, teachers are going to lie to you, or doctors and people like that. I mean, I think doctors should learn this. GPs, hospital staff, probation officers, prison officers, police officers, especially should learn this stuff. Every copper on the planet should know this. So we're gonna focus on this. Sorry, I think it's hilarious. I think the deception is so obvious in this, but we're going to have a look anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it full screen layout because I've got the transcript up. And we're going to watch the interview, and then we're going to go through the transcript. And I'm going to show you exactly what I was seeing and hearing.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us. And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued, not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Okay, now that was Maleyha Brooks Murray's first interview, one and only interview, because she bounced the next day, or that day, I believe. There was some kind of altercation between the families, and she bounced the hell out of there and has never been seen or heard from since. So that in itself is suspicious. So first of all, I have to give credit to Hunter S. True Crime. This is taken from his channel. So go and give him a look. I did let him know that I was going to be using this for my analysis today. So thank you to Hunter S. for providing this. So I keep saying I'm going to put the link in the description at the end of the video, just like DD normally does, but I'm not very good at this yet. So I'm going to leave that there because we don't need to watch the interview again. I'm going to take it right at the top. Right now, the first thing she says is, I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them, and I want them home. And then when I heard that, I was like, a voice, what's going on? This isn't right. I wasn't seeing any tears. I wasn't seeing a glabella, no chin boss. There was no urgency. There doesn't seem to be any worry. So automatically I was like, oh, okay. And then she started with this. Now, what happened was we woke up, and if you listen carefully, when you listen back, because I'm not going to keep going over the interview. All right, sod it. Let's go over it a little bit more. Let's listen to it.
And I want them home.
Yeah, I bet you do.
What happened was we woke up. I heard them playing in the next room beside us.
You hear that upwards inflection?
And I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens.
Upwards inflection.
And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel,
really, but
I tell him to hear the kids, and he says no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside.
Okay. So what we call this is narrative building. Now, in a crisis like this, your kid goes missing or something serious happens, you don't tell the story in chronological order for a start. You go straight to the most important part. Now, what we call this is narrative building. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing. What do you mean what happened was? We don't need to hear that. This is what we call priming. We're being primed for a narrative. We woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, upwards inflection of the voice. When you hear the upwards inflection of the voice like that, it's like they're asking a question. It means that they don't have confidence in what they're saying. So straight away, that tells me, and that should tell you, that something is up. Because she should be talking like I'm talking. Well, actually, she should be crying her bloody eyes out and going mental. But there shouldn't be any type of upwards inflection in her voice. I mean, who talks like that? Who tells you what went on and talks with the voice going upwards at the end? You know, it's like if I said, well, I got out of bed this morning at 7:30, jumped on my magic flying carpet, nipped to the shop. Come on, I'm calling BS. Oh, all right. So that's the linguistics part of it. So now that's covered. I knew at this point we're 14 seconds in, less than 14 seconds. As soon as I heard what happened was I knew. I knew. My ears pricked up, my eyes open. Whoa, hang on, hold the phone. So she's building a narrative here. She's saying we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. So what they're basically saying is not our fault. We were in bed. Now, this is what led me to believe that whatever happened, and I told investigator this, I said, whatever happened the night before. It didn't happen that morning. And he says, how do you know? I said, the narrative starts right out the gate. They're still in bed, and it's a narrative. So whatever happened before that time they were in bed in the morning. So it's happened before. So that timeline they're giving us is a lie. The second question I had was, okay, she's being deceptive. Her kids are missing. Why are you lying? And then she says, drifting in and out of sleep, blah, 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 yeah. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. All right. Now, this is what's known as qualifying language. And what she's trying to tell us is we were asleep. But if you look at what she actually says, they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. What do you mean? That doesn't make sense. What? So what you're basically saying is they are the type of kids that will go out on their own because they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go out. So what she's saying is they haven't been told not to go out on their own. Either that or it's a fractured sentence. or fragmented sentence, however you want to put it, which is another red flag. So that's either leakage or it's a fractured and fragmented sentence. But she feels the need to convince that she is a good mother. We always make sure we're out there with them, watching them. Well, obviously not. If they just disappeared, you weren't watching them. You were in bed, weren't you? So you've just contradicted your own story there. And we're being primed for what Deception Detective would call the money shot. And the money shot is when it's the part of the story that means the most. It's and here it is. So we're out there watching them, and they happen to just get out. Now, if you were in bed asleep, how do you know they just happened? How do you know they didn't climb out the window? How do you know nobody came in and took them? All right. They happen to just get out that sliding door. Now, just it's called a weakening modifier. And it's another red flag. Because you would just say, well, they must have got out of that sliding door. Not, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. Okay, so it's silent, yeah? You've got a sliding door that's silent. You've got the only silent sliding door on the planet. So I'd love to know where they got their magic silent lubricant from to make this door silent. Gandalf the freaking Grey, I don't know, Harry Potter, he's doing well because they've got magic flying blanket as well, apparently. So here's the money shot. They got that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. Why not? It's a sliding door. There's friction. There must be noise. So she goes on, she says, and they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. Well, so if you weren't aware of it at the time, how do you know they were outside playing? But this is all narrative. She should be going straight to, we got out of bed, we didn't hear them, and we realized they were gone. This is a narrative. And the fact that there's no glabella, no tears, no chin boss, there's no grief on that face, there's no urgency, there's no worry, there is nothing but fear and a narrative building to get herself out of the shit, basically. She knows exactly what happened to those kids, in my opinion. So the next thing we knew, the room, like, there's another weakening modifier, like, or it's a modifier. It's hang on, let me get my deception deck, because I can't remember every bloody explanation. I just know what's deceptive and what isn't. So, and my mind has gone completely blank right now, I'm afraid. So words and phrases. There should be like in here somewhere. No, it's not going to be. Changing sentence, discrepancy, exclusion qualifiers. That's not it. Intensifying adverbs, minimizing adverbs. There we go. It's a minimizing adverb. My mistake. So, and if you look at Deception Detective's deception deck and minimizing adverbs, it says words such as just, only, simply, and merely often indicate an attempt at minimalization. Liars frequently use these terms to downplay incriminating details and content and context. I haven't got the right glasses on. So that's what that is. So, and the upwards inflection is blatantly obvious, but that's linguistics. That's not statement analysis. Comes under behaviour, but not particularly, and we're concentrating on the statement analysis. And then she said, we weren't aware of it at the time. Yeah, bollocks. And the next thing we knew, the room, like, it was quiet. And we go, so there's a fragmented sentence there again. The next thing we knew, the room, like, and it's like, again, it was quiet. And then this, this is the icing on the cake, this little bit. Next thing we knew, and we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. Now, if you notice, she goes into present tense. Now, a change in tense is one of my favorite indicators of deception because it is just so easy to spot and so blatant. And the fact that they changed tense tells me everything I need to know. I already knew that this was deceptive long before she came into present tense. But when she went into present tense, I knew what I was listening to. I knew something was wrong. And she says, we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel. So she hasn't named the kids yet. She hasn't used the children's names. She hasn't used Jack and Lily's names. She just called them the kids. So we call that distancing language. That's emotional and psychological distancing. She can't bring herself to use the kids' names. Why? Because I believe she knows they're already passed away. I don't believe those kids are going to be found alive. I'd love to think that they will. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they are found alive and well. But it's really, really not looking promising. And I'll be straight up with you. When I spoke to investigators from RCMP, they agreed. They were saying, yeah, we knew something was up. But they didn't know what I was on about. That's why they asked me for more information, because they didn't have a clue about statement analysis or behaviour analysis. And I'm only an amateur. I don't have any qualifications. Who's messaging me? Leave me alone. But I've just been into it for an awful long time and been doing a lot of studying because I am going for my qualification very shortly. And she says, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, so she makes sure she names him. I think she's subtly throwing him under the bus here, because he started doing the same. If anybody that's followed this case, especially with Clutch and Pearls, Justin, he's all over this, like oh my God. And he's getting really good. You don't tell him, do you hear the kids? You ask him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly, present tense again. Now I'm going to explain something about present tense, which I forgot to explain. When something has already happened, we talk in past tense because it's what's known as experiential memory. We've experienced it. It's happened. We've seen it. They've been there, experienced it. It's lodged in our brain, especially when high amounts of emotion are involved. Now, if you realize that both your kids are missing, or 2 of the 3 of your kids are missing, you wouldn't be this calm. I wouldn't be this calm. No mother would be this calm. She's not she's not worried. She knows what happened. And their conjecture whether as how far involved she is and whether she was involved in it or just knows what happened. I don't care. She's complicit. She knows what happened. She's lying to police. She's lying to everybody else. So is he. So as far as I'm concerned, you need locked up. Your children are apparently missing and you're lying to law enforcement and you're lying to the media. Handcuffs on, as far as I'm concerned, banged up. And you can sit there till you tell me the freaking truth. And he says, no, and we get up instantly and we're looking outside. See, present tense again. It's what's known as the free editing process in statement analysis. And what it basically means in the free editing process is your brain's making it up as you go along. Because it's a very, very unnatural thing to try and deceive another human being. It's not a natural thing for the brain to do. So you make slips like this, it's blatantly obvious what's going on. Now, and she goes, we're looking everywhere, yelling for them, and I instantly just called 911. And again, you've got that weakening modifier, adjust, or intensify an adverb, or minimize an adverb, I should say. I just called 911. You don't need to say, and she doesn't need to say, and I instantly just called. It doesn't make sense. I instantly called 911. Why the just? Why? Because it's deceptive. As just, I just, repetitive, word repetition. Another huge red flag for deception. I just had the instinct I needed to call. Yeah, of course you did. And then she says, they're both really go-lucky children. It sounded like good-looking children to me, but they're both really good go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. So this is what we call subtle victim blaming. So what she's trying to tell us is, they're both really go-lucky children. They're sweet. They'll talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They'll speak to anyone in the store. Everyone. So if they got taken, it's their fault because they speak to everyone. This is called victim blaming. And when you see this in a case of a missing child or missing children, it's very, very concerning. She says they will speak to anyone in a store, everyone. So another fragmented sentence. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. Now, this is what I would call leakage. Now, in my analysis, I sent to RCMP, my first one, I did say that Daniel Martell keeps referencing water and loud noises. If you listen, we're gonna listen to his interview in a minute. Now, from what I recall, I think an aunt has come out and said that she believes that Daniel has dumped the kids in the harbour. Now, I didn't know that they were so close. I didn't look at the map. I was told Pictou County, it's a rural area. I didn't think it was anywhere near the coast if it was rural, considering the size of Canada. It's a bloody big country. But she says, I appreciate the huge search effort. So I think surf is leakage. I actually think that those kids have been dumped in the water. I originally said to RCMP that probably waterfalls, rivers, muddy ones, because he refers to mud quite a bit. And when we listen to how odd he is when he speaks as well. And then I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. So that's ingratiation. So saying, oh, mate, I'd be going, what are you doing? Stop piss-assing around. Get out there and find my kids. We appreciate the huge search effort going on right now, but we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. Still no urgency in her voice. No urgency in her language. I believe there was no Amber Alert because RCMP knew something was up. I got switched onto this case on May the 7th. So this was 5 days old. So I'm pretty sure that I wasn't the first behavior analyst to get in touch with them. But I gave them as much as I could, and I actually quite appreciated the phone call. We had quite a good conversation. I'm not going to mention any names, because I'm not having people phone. I'm going, if you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. I don't care. But once the case is over, I'll show you the emails. And then we had people text me saying that they weren't aware. Someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would be just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe. Now this is more ingratiation. This is far too polite. Very, very polite. Now, okay, female language is generally more polite than blokes, especially in written statements. But in this context, there is absolutely no need to be polite. You know, just be nice if everyone could be alerted. What do you mean, just be nice? I mean, that's minimizing. It would just be nice. And that word just, again, she loves to use that word just. This whole thing is deceptive. There's not one bit of truth in this. Every single word coming out of her mouth is a lie. Just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet. But with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. Now, that's a very odd thing to say. And again, it's been raining and they're probably soaking wet. Well, it's not raining now, and it wasn't raining that morning. It was only raining during the night. So this is more language that leads me to believe that whatever happened during the night. It happened on the Thursday night, early hours of Friday morning. The timeline they've given is absolute BS. Maleyha Brooks-Murray called the school at around 6:17 a.m. to say that Lily would not be attending school because she has a cough. But she says here she was asleep. They were asleep in bed, and they didn't realise until the call wasn't made until about 10 o'clock in the morning. So the whole thing is suspicious. Hopeful that they're feeling warm. Yeah, I'd be hopeful that they found. Do you know what I mean? She's trying to sound concerned, but it's not. She's not pulling it off. It's not working. It's all BS. Every single thing she's saying is BS. We're all filled with pain and sorrow. Why are you filled with pain and sorrow? You should be filled with worry and anger. When there's a missing child, words like pain and sorrow especially usually indicate that the people have passed on and she knows it and she's already processed that. What's the sorrow for? You could get your kids back. There shouldn't be any sorrow. You know, these are not the words that you would expect to see and hear in this type of interview. We just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. Who's we? Who cares about we? I want to know what you feel. You're the mother. Where's your maternal instinct? There's no maternal instinct kicking in here at all. We just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal. What do you mean everyone loves them? Who's everyone? What about you? What do you feel about your kids? How do you feel? Why is it? Why are you saying everyone? Why? Because it's bloody deceptive. That's why. Now my mouse has stopped working. Sorry. And then she says, they are definitely verbal and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just that. So, well, possible autism isn't a diagnosis, sweetheart. They do have possible autism. Well, and how do you know it's autism if it hasn't been diagnosed? It's just a more just. Again, they have issues with school. Now, when we hear that they're also words that are used in deceptive statements or in deceptive speech with them school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to, that's just again and just again. I mean, word repetition or what? I'm not buying any of this. I wasn't buying it the first time I saw it, and I'd buy it even less the more I listen to this. I just want to remain hopeful. I just want to remain hopeful. So she says, I just want to remain hopeful. So she wants to remain hopeful. But what she's saying is, I'm not hopeful. I just want to remain hopeful. So what that basically says to me is, I want to remain hopeful, but I know I'm not going to, because I know what's happened. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. What do you mean you're always thinking the worst? What about you? Don't tell us what we're thinking. Tell us what you're thinking. So that is another indicator of deception. When somebody says in the third person, you'll think this, or you say this. In the right context, yeah, you can accept somebody saying that. But the fact that she's going, but there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds, and I don't want to go through that another night without them. So now her priority is her feelings. Last night was one of the worst nights. Why was it one of the worst nights? It should be the worst night. If your kids went missing the day before, it's got to be the worst night, not one of the worst nights. Why is it only one of the worst nights? So what's happened before that makes it worse than this or as bad as this? Wrong language. This is just all wrong. Because I didn't have them in the beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them. I don't care what you don't want to go through. I care what those kids have gone through and have been through and what's happened to them, and I want them found. I don't care a hoot what you want and what you don't want, because you should not be the focus of your statement. Your children should be. And still, we are at 2 minutes and 46 seconds. It's actually 48. No, I did stop it at 48. 2 minutes 46, and that whole statement is deceptive. And Peter Hyatt, in his book Wise as a Serpent, Gentle as a Dove, explains to us that when we hear change in tense, especially in the context of a missing child or children, we take notice. Now, she stays in present tense, but there's this narrative building. She feels the need to convince us of how good a parent she is. That's her priority here. First of all, she wants you to know that they were in bed. They didn't know anything what was going on. They distancing themselves straight away. Doesn't use the kids' names. That's also distancing language. And then the money shot is that they've been abducted. However, the RCMP didn't issue an Amber Alert. I wonder why. And then we have the subtle victim blaming here. They will talk. They're so sweet. They'll talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone more fragmented sentence. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort. Ingratiation. That's another big red flag. Like I said, you wouldn't be ingratiating yourself with people. Oh, how much I appreciate it. Your kids are missing. They haven't been found yet. You shouldn't be appreciating anything until your kids are found. An alert which hasn't been issued, not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. Now, that to me, when I heard her say that, we've been pushing for an Amber Alert which hasn't been issued. I straight away asked, why hasn't it been issued? If there are 2 missing kids, why hasn't an alert been issued? Why? Because RCMP right from the beginning never believed that they'd been abducted. RCMP aren't stupid. And I know for a fact that there were everyday RCMP officers that had major suspicions about these 2 right from the very start. I know this because I was told this by more than one of them. So if these clowns think they're fooling anyone, they're sadly mistaken. And they're probably soaking wet by now. See, there's Daniel references water an awful lot. She's referencing water. She references surf. I believe what the aunt says. I believe Daniel Martell dumped those kids' bodies into the harbour. And there are areas around that coast that would take a corpse out, and they'd never be found. They'd get predated by, the fish and the sharks and whatever else is in there. I don't know. I know bugger all about geography, so I don't know what sort of sharks or fish or whales or otters or I don't know. They may have really nasty squirrels. I don't know, but the likelihood is, in my honest opinion, I believe Daniel Martell did in fact dump those kids in the harbour. Which harbour, we don't know, because there is more than one of them, because it's closer to coastal region than I originally thought it was. And then when she goes on, they're definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. Well, you've just said it's possible autism, so we don't even know if it's autism at all yet. So it can't be extreme autism because they haven't even been diagnosed as autism. I've had my diagnosis. I scored 80. So I know my score. They have issues with school. It turns out that Jack and Lily have both turned up at school, I believe, with black eyes. I believe Lily, I believe Daniel Martell was beating them. And there's an awful lot of evidence to suggest that they've been seen with black eyes on more than one occasion. They've been kept off school with a cough. Are you mad? What? So you said you were asleep. You didn't wake up until after 8 o'clock, whatever it is, but you managed to phone the school at 17 minutes past 6 in the morning to let them know that Lily wouldn't be attending school. Because she had a cough. I mean, what a pathetic reason to keep a kid off school. And then she says, but there's always in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Well, what do you mean you're always thinking the worst? Don't tell us what I'm thinking. Don't tell me what I'm thinking. Tell me what you're thinking. I want to know what you think. So this third person sentence here is, and huge red flag. Because, excuse me, sorry, you're telling me how you're feeling and what effect it's having on you. Why are you saying you're always thinking the worst? It should have been I keep thinking the worst, or I'm thinking the worst. And then last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in the beds. I don't want to go through that. Oh, poor me. Go to hell. That's where you belong. I don't care if you had anything to do with what happened to those kids. I don't care if it was just Daniel and you had nothing to do with it. You're lying. You're covering for him. You need to go to prison. Daniel needs to fry, as far as I'm concerned. I believe it was him that did it. I 100% am sure that he is guilty of harming those kids. And the fact that they've gone to school with black eyes proves that there is abuse within that family home. And there's also substance abuse, which is blatantly obvious when you look at how they behave. And then when we look at her behavior, like I said, there's no urgency. There's no, you see no glabella. There's no grief there. She's not crying. She's not wiping her eyes. There's no chin boss. When we cry, runny nose. Justin mentioned that on the other case, the Emmanuel Horo case that's going on right now. The mother was pretending to cry and that there. She's not even pretending to cry. She's more, because what happens is your prefrontal cortex gets taken over by your limbic system. Now, your limbic system is what contains your amygdala, which is what regulates emotion. Like I say, the word amygdala comes from the Greek word, just meaning almond. Your hippocampus is, well, Latin word for seahorse, because it looks a bit like a seahorse. That deals with your memories. And then you have your thalamus, your hypothalamus, and then down on the hypothalamus, you have the pituitary gland, otherwise known as the master gland, which secretes oxytocin, otherwise known as the love hormone. When you hug somebody, you get a dose of oxytocin through your body. That's what makes us feel loved. Very similar to dopamine. So let's have a listen to what this other lunatic says.
Another night without them.
The last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning, when we noticed that the children were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there. As soon as I noticed they weren't there, I immediately jumped right in the vehicle and surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert I could find. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. I know they took their boots. That's pink boots for Lily, blue boots for Jack, with dinosaurs on them. Lily had her backpack with white, and it was white with strawberries on it. I imagine now if they're in the woods that it'd be probably brown, but I don't see them carrying their backpack. I don't see them keeping a pull-up one for that long after it got soaked from the very first day. We only found the 2 boot tracks outside of the house.
Whereabouts?
Right beside the house, probably 10 feet away from the backyard.
In the backyard, okay.
Nothing new other than the helicopters are still in the air. And they had dogs. They took around the dogs today. And as of last night, they had 8 more drones going on with infrared. I urge them very.
Now, this is Daniel Martell. This is the stepfather of Lily and Jack Sullivan. Lily, 6, Jack, 4. And I'm going to show you some more. little snippets of how you can spot deception. Now, let's just listen to him for a couple of minutes, for a minute.
Stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning when we noticed that the children were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle.
Boom. There you go. 2:59. There you go.
Surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could.
2 minutes 59. Right. So he says, last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning. Now, he had to repeat Friday when we noticed that the kids, and then changes it to children, were gone. Now, there's no anger, there's no worry, there's no urgency. This is just another narrative. And his priority is himself. This is a narcissist. This is an extreme narcissist we're dealing with here. I think he's an abuser. I personally think he likely unalived those kids and he's dumped their bodies in the harbour. I'm with the aunt on that one. I think the harbour is where he dumped them, and I am starting to strongly suspect that they may never be found. And I really hope I'm wrong. And this is the thing with behavior analysis and statement analysis. When you come across something like this, when DD Deception Detective does his stuff on X, posts his questions and that, I usually nail them. I usually do pretty well. I'm usually the one that goes, yeah, look, I'm getting pretty good because I'm a bit of a smart ass. Yeah, okay, I'm a bit of a smart ass. But when the time came, when the actual time came, when I heard her interview, I wanted to be so wrong. I didn't want to be right. I wanted to be wrong. I just hoped that I was misunderstanding, but I knew I wasn't, but I wanted to be wrong. But I don't believe I am. And when I look at every other behavior and statement analyst, especially on YouTube, we're all saying exactly the same thing. Now, here's one of Peter Hyatt's favorites. He says, last few days have been very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning when we noticed that the children were gone. So straight away that says, oh, it's been very stressful. It's all about him. Who cares what you think, how you feel? All I care about is where those children are. I don't give two shits what you're feeling right now, dude. And the look on his face, look at that. It's just that's this look here is what Greg Hartley calls a request for approval. So what he's doing is he's making eye contact, number one, to see if you're buying it, because a lot of people seem to think that people break eye contact when they're lying. No, that's not true. Liars, more often than not, will look you in the eye because they want to see your reaction, to see if you're buying their bullshit. All right. I know I said another naughty word. I'm sorry. I keep telling you this is not for kids. So if this gets taken down, whatever. It's not going to be my career anyway. And then here we have it. Here we have one of Peter Hyatt's favorite deception indicators. Since morning when we noticed that the kids were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, as many dirt roads, as many culverts as it could, and waited for the police to get there. Soon as I noticed they weren't there, immediately jumped right in the vehicle and surveyed all every dirt road, every culvert that I could find. Here he drops the pronoun. He says, ever since the Friday morning when we noticed, now the pronoun here, we. So when we see the pronoun we, it means a collective, more than one person, and he's including himself. So he's obviously talking about him and Maleyha when we noticed. So in his language, they're a unit at this point. When we noticed the kids were gone. This is what makes me think Maleyha Brooks Murray is more involved than what she wants to let on. But his first priority is to let you know that it's been very stressful for him and for them. And then he goes, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, as many dirt roads, as many culverts as it could, and waited for police to get there. Who did? Who immediately jumped in the vehicle? Who surveyed all the areas, as many dirt roads, as many culverts as they could? Who? Where's the pronoun? A dropped pronoun is a massive red flag. Now, one of the rules of statement analysis, the first rule of statement analysis, according to Peter Hyatt and Mr. Abhinayam Sapir, is we listen to their words and we believe them. And one of the other rules of statement analysis is if there's a sentence like this without a pronoun in it, so there's an action but without a pronoun. So immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed, or who did? Who immediately jumped in the vehicle? Because there's no pronoun there. So without a pronoun, so he's not saying I immediately jumped in the vehicle. So he's not placing himself in this statement. That is a massive red flag for deception. A missing pronoun usually means this didn't happen at all because there's no pronoun there. He doesn't put himself there. In fact, he doesn't put anybody there. He doesn't say they immediately jumped, we immediately, I immediately jumped. No pronoun. Massive, massive red flag. So all the areas, many dirt roads as it could, and then waited for the police to get there. As soon as I noticed they weren't there, immediately. And he said, right, goes, not as soon as I noticed they weren't there or they were missing. As soon as I noticed they weren't there, drops the pronoun again. Immediately jumped right in the vehicle. What vehicle, Daniel? What, the ATV that you used to go and dump their bodies in the harbour with? That was the only clean thing on your driveway? And surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert that I could. Now he puts the pronoun. Now, there's something about dirt roads and culverts that is sensitive to him because he keeps repeating it. He keeps telling us about culverts, and there's something about culverts with him. I don't know why. It just because it's repeated word, we know it's sensitive to the subject. I wish I could get in front of this geezer and ask him some questions myself, probably with my fists as well. But anyway, I could find. And then he goes, Jack just absolutely loved bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But Lily, now past tense, loved. Now, in the right context, past tense would be okay. But in the context of missing children, past tense indicates that they are no longer with us, and he knows it. So he slipped up there using past tense. And then watch what he does.
Dirt road, every culvert they could find. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that. But
now he's faking emotion here. Faking emotion. And I'll tell you how I know. Number one, there's no tears. there's no glabella there. He's not even trying. He won't be up for an Oscar anytime soon either. But watch what he does when he starts to pretend to cry. He looks at the cameraman. He just gives a quick look at the cameraman.
Waited for the police to get there. As soon as I noticed they weren't there, I immediately jumped right in the vehicle and surveyed all the area, every dirt road, every culvert they could find. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, and anything like that.
I mean, did you see that? Just looked at the cameraman. That was a quick glance to see, oh, he's buying this, or is the camera? What an absolute crock of shit, Daniel Martell. Stop talking out of your backside. I don't believe you.
But Lily loves girly things, but she also loved doing everything with Jack, bugs.
She also loved doing everything with Jack, more past tense. Now, at this point, I knew in my heart of hearts that those kids were not going to be found alive. I do not believe they will be found alive. And like I say, I really hope I'm wrong. I really want to be wrong. I'd love to see those kids found alive and well, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think it's going to happen because of the deception by both of these clowns. And I will use the word clowns because you're making me angry just looking at your stupid, gormless face, Daniel. You're lying through your teeth.
They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that.
And he's doing it again, see? Pretending to cry. Now, another thing I need to bring up here is I came onto Granny's Watching. I'm not a particular fan of that channel, to be honest. I don't like the way they talk about Deception Detective on there. But, you know, it's not all bad. I mean, it's not a bad channel. It's just, you know, there's some certain opinions that they hold that I don't agree with. And I don't like hearing people like Deception Detective slagged off. Why aren't they saying it to his face? Why they slagged him off on their channel? And why slag him off at all? What do you know? They were trying to blame him for people, you know, going web sleuthing and stuff. It's not his fault. He's not telling people to go out there and investigate things. Come on. But anyway, I'm not going to bother there because it's all past stuff. But he used past tense again. She loved doing everything with Jack. Bugs, they're like best friends, not just brother and sister. I know they took their boots. How do you know they took their boots? That's pink boots for Lily, blue boots for Jack with dinosaurs on them. Lily had a backpack with white. It was white with strawberries on it. Now there's another fragmented sentence. Lily had her backpack with white. It was white. Fragmented sentence. Well, it doesn't make sense. With white, it was white with strawberries on it. But imagine now they're in the woods that it'd probably be brown. Why? Why? Why brown? I think he's referencing mud here. And this is why I originally thought that it would be that he dumped him in a waterfall or a well or somewhere like that would be muddy at the bottom. But I now believe that he dumped him in the harbour and he used the ATV to do it. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. But that is my opinion. And I'm not going to speak for anybody else. That's my opinion. And I don't care if people don't agree with me. I really couldn't give a shit. It's my opinion. Based on what I've learned, what I've been taught by Peter Hyatt, by Deception Detective, by the books I read and listen to on Audible on a daily basis, without fail. Based on my knowledge, he's talking absolute bollocks. And this is fake crying. Like I had to explain before, emotions do not work that quickly. And I explain why. Now, emotions come from the amygdala. Now, right now, he's trying to fake grief, but you can see it's fake because emotions don't work that quickly. There's no tears, no glabella, no chin boss. Nobody looks up at the cameraman or the interviewer to see. That's a look to see if they're buying it again. What Greg Hartley from Behaviour Panel would call request for approval, just to check to see if you're buying his little act here. No, Daniel, I'm not.
But Lily
And then suddenly, listen,
loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, Bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister. You know,
no more crying. I mean, no one on the history of the planet has ever started to cry, cried, and then stopped cried within a few seconds. It doesn't work like that. Anybody that's been through a stressful situation, or even if you've got angry with somebody, try and think back the last time you got angry. How long did it take you to even calm down? How long did it take you to get over the anger, especially if it's intense anger? He should be feeling intense emotions, but he's not. Now, the emotions just don't work like that. There's too many chemical things going on in the brain and electrical activity, too many hormones and certain neurotransmitters to be released, and they don't act that quickly. They can start quickly, but they don't go away that quickly, because your body, once your brain has produced things like serotonin or dopamine, I think he's getting a hit of dopamine. I actually think he's a psychopath. I really think he's a psychopath. He's an extreme narcissist. And like Scott Rouse tells us all the time, what does he say? All psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. But all psychopaths are narcissists. This is an extreme narcissist who's been beating those kids, by the way. I'd like to beat his head off the back of that car right now. So
took their boots. That's pink boots for Lily, blue boots for Jack, with dinosaurs on them. Lily had her backpack with white, and it was white with strawberries on it. I imagine now if they're in the woods that it'd be probably brown, but I don't see them carrying their backpack. I don't see them keeping a pull-up one for that long.
Why not? Why don't you see them carrying a backpack? It's what it's meant for, isn't it? To be carried on your back. So if you took it, why wouldn't you be carrying it? Your story doesn't make sense, mate.
After it got soaked from the very first day, we only found the 2 boot tracks outside of the house.
Whereabouts?
Right beside the house, probably 10 feet away from the backyard.
In the back.
Now, I spoke to RCMP about this, and this is in my first analysis. One of these, I'll share the analysis with you at some point. I just need to take the names off, because I'm not having officers' names and my name blasted all over the internet. It's just one of those things. I don't want to get shot like the last guy did. And this is why Deception Detective stays anonymous. Because of the stupidity that goes on. But anyway, let's listen to more of what this clown's got to say.
Backyard, okay.
Nothing new, other than the helicopters are still in the air.
Listen to how calm he is.
Around the dogs today, and as of last night, they had 8 more drones going up with infrared. I urge the public to come out if you have anything, come out as fast as possible and get it to any detachment or any police service that you have available to get to talk to.
Now, that's the end of that. Now, that was one of the most deceptive interviews with parents I've come across, and it's probably because I got to that point with my learning that I saw this straight away. So it will stick with me for life. I will never, ever forget the day. Wednesday, the 7th of May, 2025, will be a day that sticks in my mind for the rest of my life. Because, like I said, this was the first active missing child case that I actually got involved to help in. And it made me quite angry, to be honest with you, watching these two idiots talk absolute tosh to news crews, and they've been talking absolute tosh to the police as well. I don't know how these two clowns aren't in silver bracelets. I really don't. And I did say that to RCMP as well. I said, I don't know how you haven't nicked them yet. Maybe they're just trying to collect more evidence, but without finding those children and finding what state they're in, I hope they're still alive, but I don't believe they are. So what did we learn today? Well, we learned that pronouns are very important. Pronoun drop, when somebody drops a pronoun, one of the rules of statement analysis is if the subject is not able to place themselves into the sentence, we do not say it for them. We're going to go on to a reliable denial on the next one. So I'm going to find some videos with denials, and there are three parts to what we call a reliable denial in statement analysis. We have the pronoun I. So that must include the pronoun I. It must include a denial. I did not or didn't, which is what we call a contracted denial. Did not is a non-contracted denial. And then the allegation as it is presented to them. Now, anybody that's been following this case knows how much attention Daniel Martell has been seeking from the media. And he's still looking for attention because he's still contacting YouTube channels and talking absolute crap. Daniel, if you do watch this, I know you're talking out your ass. I don't believe a word you're saying. I don't believe a word Maleyha's saying either. I believe you both know what happened to them kids. And I say to you now, if I'm wrong, come on my channel and tell me I'm wrong and explain to me how I'm wrong. Convince me that I'm wrong. And I know that other people have offered you interviews. People like Justin and Deception Detective and others have offered for you to come on. But no, you go on to small channels with gullible people that you think are gullible, that you think are going to swallow your Jackanory stories. And I'm here to tell you, I know you're talking absolute piffle. And I can't wait for the day I see you getting put in the back of a police car, hopefully bumping your head a few times on the way into it. Hard. Like you bumped those kids' heads and gave them black eyes. Mate, you're lucky I'm not living near you, because if I'd have seen those kids with black eyes, you'd have got more than a black eye. I guarantee you that. I don't care who your family is either. So dropping of pronouns, the changing of pronouns are very important. The changing of tense, very important. And these are all easy things to remember. And once you learnt them and remembered them, they will stay with you. They will stay with you. You will remember them. So anytime you hear somebody talking about something that happened in the past, but are talking in the present tense, you know that that's deceptive straight away, because it's being done in a free editing process, not from experiential memory. We learnt that pronouns are very important. Like Peter Hyatt says, if the subject is not prepared to place themselves in the sentence, then we must not say it for them. They must say it. We let their own words guide us. And their own words are telling me they're talking out of their buttocks. And I don't like it one bit, because there are 2 innocent kids missing. And they still have yet to be found. But I know a day will come when they will both be under arrest. And a day hopefully will come when they get locked up for the rest of their lives. And I pray that day comes very, very soon. I don't need to know what happened. I just know something really bad has happened. In my heart of hearts, I know that. And you don't need to take my word for it. You can buy Peter's book. You can buy any book by Mark McLeish. I Know You're Lying. Don't Be Deceived. You've got Jack Schaefer. You've got loads of statement analysts and statement analysis books that you can read. So you don't need to just take my word for it. Pick up a book and read about it, and you'll see I'm telling you exactly what the book tells you, because I've read these books over and over and over again. I've listened to them over and over again. So we learned 2 things today: the change in intents and pronouns, changing in pronouns, the dropping of pronouns. Basically, if there's no pronoun in a sentence, if they're not placing themselves in the sentence, then there's a very high likelihood that it's deceptive and it didn't even happen at all. They're making it up. So I hope you've enjoyed listening and watching. I haven't enjoyed it, because I feel actually angry and quite sick to the stomach when I even look at those 2 idiots. I'm not going to deep dive into all the BS and all the rubbish that the family's been saying, because I don't care. You got one side of the family sticking up for their one, the other side of the family's trying to stick up for their one. They're both pointing the finger at each other. When they do finally get arrested, I bet they both tell the police the other one did it. Yeah, whatever. You're both involved as far as I'm concerned. Until you prove me wrong, I believe you're both involved. At what level of who? I mean, Daniel says, oh, you know, it's not 100% me. Well, what percentage of it is you then, Daniel? 95%, 99%? I believe it's a lot more than 50%. I don't believe it's 50-50. Maleyha is deceptive, but I don't think she's an abusive. I think she was a neglective mother, but I don't think she was abusive. You, Daniel, are abusive. You're the one that was hurting them kids. And you're the one I'd like to hurt, if I'm honest. So if I hear about you Epsteining yourself in your prison cell, trust me, mate, I will not lose a wink of sleep. So I hope you enjoyed this little foray into the world of statement analysis, behavior analysis. And there will be more to come. Next, I think we're going to look at a reliable denial and unreliable denial. So you can see the difference. And go into what we expect to hear and not to hear. Whether it's going to be this case or not, I don't know. I'll find something. I have a Discord called Deception Conception. I will try and post put the link to that at some point. I don't know how to do it. So, in fact, hang on a second. Maybe I can. How do I do this? Right, so create channel, create. Okay, I don't know how to put server link up there, because I'm really new to this madness. But I will figure out how to do it. But if you go on to Discord and look for Deception Conception, you will see that's my server. Ping me, Uber Fubar. Ping me a message, and I'll send you an invite if you're interested in deception and learn to spot it and how to deal with it. So that's it. That's I won't be doing any more lives tonight because I have a life of my own and I want to get back on the Xbox and kind of wind down because it's 8:30 on a Monday night and I have to be up fairly early in the morning. I'm already yawning. Like, oh dear, it's not even 8:30 and I'm yawning already. Oh God. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you do enjoy it, drop a like, put a subscribe, come to subscribe to the channel if you want. This is literally all this channel is going to be about. And we hope to have a laugh along the way once the channel's built. But I will tell you now, there'll come a time where somebody else will be taking over this channel or building a channel of their own. Because this is not going to be my career. I don't intend to make a career creating content on any platform. I'm just doing this for something to do, just to build my confidence, and to educate you guys, and share as much knowledge as I can, until my career chooses itself. But I know it's going to be in the area of behavior, probably statement analysis. And it's an area I never thought I'd get into. I never saw myself in this position. But here I am, and I'm doing what I can to help you guys not be deceived. And if you go and watch Chase Hughes, he will explain to you how to deal with these behaviors and manipulative tactics. And he's extremely good at it as well. So I go and give him a look. Go and watch. I binge watch his videos from time to time. He's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely, arguably, I think he's if not the best, he's one of the best out there. I think from the behavior panel point of it, I think his knowledge is far, far superior to any of the other three, even Greg Hartley, and he's not far behind. I just don't think Greg Hartley is knows as much about the neuroscience as what Chase does. Chase got into neuroscience because he'll tell you he has temporal lobe epilepsy, which is known as a NCE, which is a non-convulsive epilepsy, where you go into a trance-like state. He shares it. He talks about it on his video. So I'm not giving anything away here. So look out for updates on that. He's dealt with it really, really well, extremely well. And yeah, go and give him a look. Go and give Deception Detective a look. Definitely go and see Justin at Clutch and Pearls. Jay Scott at Guilty of Crime. Jay popped in yesterday just to show a bit of love, say hello. Really appreciated that. So I'd really appreciate it if you go and give her channel a look and just drop a like. You don't have to subscribe. I would say subscribe. I've subscribed. But it would help her out if you do, because I think she deserves that channel to be grown, and so does Justin. So I'll do everything I can to help their channel grow, 100%. But also, so will I with the case of Hunter S. True Crime. He only has 180 subscribers. I've subscribed. I've liked this one already. And there's only 15 comments. But let's help him grow his channel. So come and give his channel a look. Drop him a like. Show him a bit of support. And thank you very much, Hunter S., for the interview footage. It was extremely helpful, and I hope you guys have learned something. So on that note, I'm afraid it's good night, Vienna. I have to go and do other things, like shower, eat, and sleep. Probably be at Xbox before I sleep, if I could stay awake enough. And that's it. More tomorrow, but I don't know what time, so I will figure out a time. But it's going to be probably late in the day. I've got a few things I have to do tomorrow before I can do any live. So, but we will be concentrating more on statement analysis, and we're going to go into denials. I think we're probably going to be looking into what a reliable denial is. And I'll even read from Peter Hyatt's book if you want me to. It's not an issue. I don't mind doing that. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And when we get more people in chat, we can get some questions going and get into a proper conversation, which is what I like. I like people that engage, because they're showing me that they're taking notice and they're listening. So anyway, on that note, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I now have to love you and leave you. So much love, peeps. Stay safe. Keep your kids safe. And remember, these days, you got to educate yourself and learn about deception. And these channels that I've mentioned and myself will do everything we can to teach you. So in the meantime, stay safe. Hope to see you tomorrow. Good night, peeps. Much love.